Are there any lawsuits going forward that aren't in the popular news right now that we should be paying attention to that might, like, affect stuff down the line that are important?
Well, there's so many lawsuits going on. There's a lot of terrific, really important litigation going on. And there's also been a tremendous effort by state attorneys general, Democratic elected officials, governors, Democratic attorneys general to stand up to this, to file suit, to protect the interests of the people of those states, to, grants, to programs that help, poor kids get lunch, that help, food banks get access to foods that people need, and more and more and more. And so that's happening. And there are a lot of good groups out there that are in the midst of that litigation. There are a couple of the things that I would flag. One is that in the midst of all of this totally destructive chaos caused by Trump and Bondi and Musk and the gang, you also have a litigation happening in North Carolina where the Republican candidate for the North Carolina Supreme Court, who lost fair and square, refuses to concede the election and is seeking help from the Intermediate Appellate Court that's been packed by Republicans to silence the voices of more than 60,000 fellow Americans in North Carolina, North Carolinians, to cancel their vote so he can be installed on the North Carolina Supreme Court. That is just extraordinary lawlessness. It's the type of thing we would have expected had Trump not been declared the winner of the 2024 election. They would have tried to, pull this maneuver in other states, Arizona, other places where they have captured the courts or the state Supreme Court, and they think that they can get away with it. So that's happening. There was also a decision this week in Minnesota where a Trump judge struck down a Minnesota law that limited the ability of foreign companies, foreign interests to influence, state legislation and elections. And so like basically allowing more foreign influence, that's happening. Meanwhile, in Maine, there was a tremendous citizen effort. It was transpartisan, bipartisan, Republican, Democrats, independents coming together to deal with one of the problems that is the progeny of Citizens United in terms of these super PACs and this massive amount of money coming into the states. And of course, that new law was attacked in the past couple of weeks by a group that has ties to Leonard Leo, of course. And so you have that billionaire money, working against the interests of the ordinary people of the state of Maine to have clean and fair elections. So those are a couple of things that are in the sort of offing, I would say.
So all bad.
Yeah.
It's just bad.
Yeah.
Well, it's bad, but it's I think the thing is that we don't know how bad it's going to get. So that's not exactly the heartening thing.
Oh boy.
But we also don't know what that tipping point is, because already Trump is sliding in the polls, certainly among the youth and other voters. He's unpopular, and he's only partially broken the economy. We have yet to see the full impact of even these first 3 weeks, like the impact on the building industry of the steel trade war. We have yet to see the full impact of his recklessness on other trade policies in terms of the price of goods. And we have yet to see what happens when these crypto guys start, further dismantling all the regulatory agencies that were trying to protect people from an industry that has been rife with fraud and self-dealing. And you have people surrounding Trump from the Project 2025 operation who have talked about how they want to devalue the dollar. So
right. Yeah. This is a long time. This is a long libertarian techno oligarch
Kremlin-y
wet dream is to get rid of the dollar and have it be crypto.
And so there's a period coming. And we can already see that horizon of people saying, where we began, what the fuck? Like, first of all, either they actually didn't vote for this, or they voted for him and they didn't believe he would do this. But he is on a wrecking ball plan for our economy, and people are beginning to see this wreckage. And it's going to get worse, in essence, before it gets better. If we have any hope of it getting better, it's that people will, in some ways, be shocked out of their shock, for some of us, or shocked out of their delusion to see the wreckage that he's done. And then the question is, can we ever fix it? Some things can't be fixed. They're just irreparably broken, like core elements of our national security infrastructure that protect us, weapons that keep us safe that are now visible to people who seem to have other countries' interests at heart and not our own.
Yep.
So there's a lot of wreckage, but some things may be able to be repaired. Some things we may be able to turn the corner. I'm not just going to say it's darkest before the dawn, because that's just too fucking easy. But the reality is that sometimes when things are bad, it becomes much more visible to people that this is not the path that anyone wants to be on who's sane.
Yeah, there's a critical mass kind of thing going on where I agree that we have to get to that point, and hopefully if people clue in before it gets bad, so bad that all hope is lost. I mean, the other like positive thing, if we're looking for a positive spin, is that the architecture of this country is fucked because of the Senate and other structural things that can only be fixed in times of severe crisis, which we're heading into. So maybe we will be able to fix this and use the opportunity to fix all this shit. And when we have the 2 extra senators from Canada, I'm sure there will be Democrats. It'll be good.
Governor Trudeau.
Yeah, I mean, that was
It's a joke. It's a joke.
It's so, but it is so insulting. But like one of these just sheer, like just the stupidity of some of the, I'm going to say this in my personal capacity, the stupidity of a certain representative from Georgia who shockingly is not Marjorie Taylor Greene, who introduced a bill that was called the Red, White, and Blue Land Act.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
I mean, just the sheer dumbassery of that. It's mind-boggling that anyone would ever propose a piece of legislation like that. And it's so absurdly, it's obscene. Like what we're, in some ways, like I think what we're seeing is just, it's obscene. This is just obscenity after obscenity by these people.
It's pornography.
Yeah.
That's obscene.
Political pornography.
Obscenity after. I'm writing that down because we'll put that in the show notes. Because I think that's a perfect way of expressing what's happening.